We're excited. Happy Veterans Day. All you who have served, we thank you for your service. And we had a great 46th annual Veterans Day parade today. 85 different participants across. It was an hour and a half of salutes, and it was really a beautiful event, and it didn't rain. So that was a good thing. We're trying our second round of annual town halls. And part of this is having discussions with our community about spending more time in the community and being able, and some feedback we got last year from everyone was, how about not talk for an hour? How about talk for a little bit and let us ask questions so that we can get some specifics that we can talk about, things that we're concerned about. And I'm very fortunate this evening to have not only our council members from District 3 and 4, Will Brennan and Peter Brown. We also have Tyler Bailey, our at-large member. Dr. Bustles would be here. She is on the NLC, the National League of Cities Board of Trustees, and she is presenting tomorrow morning in Tampa, so she is not here with us, but sends her regards. Also would like to recognize our city manager, Ms. Teresa Wilson, who's here, along with all our assistant city managers and our staff, our police chief. We got some fire folks here, some officers here, folks, and all part of why we have such a great team. Let me say, first of all, the last 3 years have been an incredible journey. I've never been so happy of my hometown, which is now Columbia is my hometown. I lived here longer than anywhere else. And it's so great to see the things that are happening, and it's because we're all working together. It's not just the city, it's the county, it's the Midlands. The Midlands mayors meet on a quarterly basis and are working together to talk about issues. We even just had a meeting with Charleston and Greenville talking about how the I-26 corridor folks can work together, especially at the State House, about affecting policies that getting more control in the hands of locally, which really affects our constituents' lives. Having a great working relationship with our governor and the legislature is so important. And it's a team effort, everybody working together. And I think that's the difference that we see right now, is there's a real belief in Columbia. I've never been so bullish on Columbia than I am now. This is truly the land of opportunity. And we can see it. We've seen it in our growth and development. You know, for about 10 years, we hovered around 2% growth. Now, Frank Rainwater shared with us at our last retreat that we've grown 4.3%. That means the things that we are doing together, the changes that we're working with within our organization, the branding efforts, the investments, the outgoing of our economic development teams actually going and meeting, and the mayor and council members working together to get out there and meet businesses where they are, highlighting those folks. It's paying off. People are coming here and they're wanting to make investment. How do we know that? Because we have well over $500 million worth of development currently right now, just through September. And if we look in the future with what's come through the Economic Development Committee and where it is, we're going to have another $1.8 billion coming out in our community, providing more housing, creating more jobs, digging deep into what we have going on with our outreach, growing that job market, retaining those students. How do we know that's working? Because we're spending more time on campuses. We created a college of committee of college engagement, meaning that all 6 colleges and universities meet with the mayor's office on a monthly basis, and we talk about how do we retain, what are some of the hurdles that they see that they're not choosing, why are they going to Greenville or Charleston or Atlanta or Columbus, Ohio, believe it or not. It's because they don't know all the opportunities here. So linking them with our business community is so important, and we're going to continue to keep those efforts up, spending more time engaging across the campuses. I have to tell you, having John Dozier at Columbia College, a gentleman who grew up in our community there, where you have Dr. Amaritas at the flagship university who's lived here for 21 years before he was the president of the university. He's lived here more than he's lived anywhere else. Dr. Artis, what she's done in the last 6 years at Benedict is unbelievable. The growth there, the investment there, and the engagement that she's had with us. Dr. McNeely and Dub Taylor reaching out, getting us more involved with what's happening at Allen, and then obviously CIU and our new president from Midlands Tech, working with us not only on how they're growing their student population, but how we connect that population to the jobs that are out there, but also at the incubation, creating collaborative efforts with the incubators and the potential for us to have a tech hub, working 3 different organizations working together. And we're seeing that because people are engaging. They're grasping on that they see that in Columbia the vibe has changed and they believe in Columbia. I always joke around that we were Eeyore. We're no longer Eeyore. We believe in ourselves. And I think that's because there's a collective effort to work together, empowering. A lot of it has to do with some of the plans and opportunities that we put in a strategic plan that our city manager has been able to do and implement, giving our employees the technology, the training, and the autonomy to do their job. That affects every level of service. We are in the customer service business. Are we perfect yet? No. Are we getting there? Yes. We're going to continue to improve. And so continuing to have the input, consolidating citywide real estate, opening up opportunities for more housing is a big portion of what we're trying to do. We're looking around across our city. Folks, we need 16,000 units in the next decade. There are 2,100 empty lots across our city. How we engage with those owners, how we take what city property has, and how do we tie that into the middle market study that we did with the realtors. It gives us a snapshot of where our needs are in the future. And it's not all single family homes, and it's not all multifamily complexes. It's duplexes, it's townhomes, it's senior living, it's condominiums, sixplexes and quadruplexes. Where are the right places for that? To enhance a neighborhood, not detract a neighborhood. And these are our opportunities. Our city manager has put out an RFP that allows us to engage with some consultants to help us do this. These are folks who have proven in other cities that there are ways to leverage our federal dollars, our state dollars, our city dollars, and the property we own to make sure that we're taking care of housing needs in every level. Making sure that we are rebuilding neighborhoods. And there's some neighborhoods where the majority of their neighborhoods are empty lots. Those are opportunities. Start building back neighborhoods. The city's already taken its own initiative. We're building 10 houses in Belmont neighborhood where we've owned 19 lots. We built a pocket park. Thank you, Mr. Simons and the parks, Kenyon and everybody else, bringing something that neighborhood needed. Taking other looks at Martin Luther King and Booker Washington Heights, start rebuilding, planting the seed, working with our churches and other folks who have lots of land and opportunities to provide housing options. Because 85% of our needs in the future fall into 3 categories. Baby boomers who are downsizing and folks who want to stay in their neighborhood where they have their support system. Single mothers with no kids at home. And millennials who want very minimum space and the ability to come and go. These are the 3 biggest categories for the future. Addressing those needs in different than just traditional housing, we have that opportunity, but working with people who do that. The William Street extension, we've been talking about it for 15 years. That is going to be our connection point. That is going to be able to help us get from Granby all the way to the dam. The property we got from Dominion, 200 acres that open up our riverfront. We're going to have 27 miles of trail across our community. 27 miles. And you know what this is? Another opportunity to collaborate. Casey, West Columbia, City of Columbia, Lexington County, Richland County, Irmo, Chapin Recreation, all coming together with Saluda Shoals to make all those connections. Once Malfunction Junction's no more Malfunction Junction, it becomes Carolina Crossroads, we'll be able to connect to the dam. So you as a visitor, or if you want to take a stay vacation, you can go Pop your head into the Hilton or somewhere in the Vista. Hop on one of our blue bikes, which is coming back, by the way, or walk. Go across to West Columbia. Have breakfast at Cafe Strudel. Make your way down 378. Come into the back of the zoo, the Botanical Gardens. Hop on the new tram that they're having coming. Rolling into the pathway right there at Candy Lane. Make your way all the way up. Maybe stop at one of our hammock parks or one of our little peak outs, take a look, enjoy the river, relax, come back, cross over our future bridge that connects us to Elmwood, take you over. You can stop at Into Coffee on the way, get a cup of coffee, catch the Fireflies game, and then from there, truck or bike on down to the Vista, have a little dessert and a nightcap if you choose, and you call it a day, and you could do that without ever getting in your car. That's how we keep those 16 million visitors that are coming to our community, but only staying for a short period, only 5.5 million staying. We need to up that number. That means that our retail and our restaurants are growing. The more we can give people to stay here and take advantage of all these beautiful assets we have. Our canal, the key to our water, being in the recovery mode now, finally starting next year to rebuild it. At the same time, it allows us to have a secondary, really a third connection to protect our water system, a direct connection into the Broad, which also gives us a ability to add a platform that does the rest of the connection for the riverfront. So we've got a smooth connection. So between what we did since 2015, the investments in our Lake Murray water plant, what we've done with our head gates and everything at our canal plant, and now this alternative water source, we're protecting the water system. So when you get that alert to say, put water in your bathtub, delete it. It's not true, because we got you covered. And that's investment. That's us thinking strategically as a council and a staff, and our staff executing these things and fighting for us, going to Washington and getting our case. And it's so important. And as we've seen the growth of Soda City and the businesses, we've celebrated so many new businesses over the last 3 years. But I mean, even just in the last year, we've had almost 1,100 new business licenses in every shape and size. So what does that tell me? That tells me that people understand that we're a business-friendly community, that they have an opportunity and they're linking up with other founders. When they see what happens at Soda City and they see the other places, and they see the growth and what's happening, they want to be part of it. They know they can chase their dreams. This is the land of opportunity. There's an opportunity on every corner. I don't care if you're an artist, if you're a software designer, you're a clother, whatever you want to do, you should be able to do it here. And our ultimate goal is that if you want to start a business in any type of industry, you can do it right here. And why is that important? Because that's what Columbia is famous for. It supports its small businesses. You can see it. So one of the reasons that I stayed here after college, because I watched my friends start businesses. I watched them start working here. And what I saw in this community was support. Now we've made it easier for people to get through the permitting process and the support. Our OBO office and our economic development, what they're doing for these businesses is amazing. We have to thank Ryan and Grace in the back from our economic development. I don't see Aisha here from OBO, but what the OBO staff is doing, I mean, what they're doing in community development and leveraging those dollars, our staffs are stretching those things and helping people follow their dreams. That's what we want. You know, all these commercial projects that keep coming forward, over $500 million that is out there now. Every day we're hearing about more announcements. Economic development, stepping out and recruitment. We had an opportunity to recruit overseas. And now we have 3 companies looking, and one who just committed to build their U.S. headquarters here, in an innovative battery storage company that will allow us to have containerized storage, that will allow you to move this around. So when we invest in alternative energy, when we get our solar plant and some of our other things done at our wastewater plant, when we have a storm like we did with things, we'll be able to move that around and use that energy where it's most needed. That's the type of innovation that wants to come here. Why? Because they also see a workforce. They see a relationship with our universities and our tech schools. These are open conversations happening. And when they're coming, 4 times they came within 4 months to visit this community, and they found it to be home. They said nowhere else was hospitable like we were, making introductions, making sure that they got to meet all the student populations and the university, the professors and the departments that could work together and collaborate to really grow these type of businesses. That's what we're doing. That's what we've empowered these staff to do. We are working together. You know, innovation, we talk a lot about innovation, and innovation goes across from innovating internally, listening to our employees. Our city managers grasp the information that we're getting from our employees on how we can improve. They're telling us how we cause ourselves to get in our way. You know, sometimes it's our policies that actually keep them from doing their job. So changing that by listening to the folks who are the first touch to our community. Being able to take advantage of programs like our Youth Climate Action Fund micro grant program from Bloomberg. They gave us a challenge at $50,000, and we were able to execute that completely and quickly, and guess what? Now we're up for more money and up for real challenges where we can get folks involved. Why is it important? Because people here care about their climate. They care about our natural assets here in Columbia. It doesn't matter if you're a hunter, fisherman, you're a community activist, you're a watershed person. We all have the same goal, which is protecting our natural assets. So let's use that as our common ground to change policies and think how do we grow greener? We're the only city in South Carolina that's Gold LEED certified. We're one of 40 cities that's LEED certified. And we're not done there yet. We are going to be platinum. We are going to get there. And that's working together. Our planning and development staff, you know, worked on that middle market study, revamped our zoning codes, and are changing them constantly as we see things changing so we can address the needs of our community, especially when it comes to housing and growth, making it easier, but also identifying the things that we need. Workforce housing. How do we take care of that advantage in our downtown area where we need the growth? We need 15 to 20,000 more people living downtown, continuing to start where people can walk to work, walk to their entertainment, enjoy those things that we have, from the Koger Center to our Fireflies to all the events that we have, from music to museums. It's amazing. There are at least 40 things happening in Columbia every day. So if you say there's nothing happening in Columbia, you need to go look at the calendar. Working with our procurement office, taking advantage of the Harvard Bloomberg programs initiative of reforming, making it easier for people to do business with us. Our outreach, growing our disadvantaged minority and women-owned businesses, getting beyond the goals that we've set for ourselves, making sure that we're reaching out, figure out how do we spend more of our money and keep it locally. Why is that important? Because these small businesses are going to grow here, they're going to hire here, and they're going to give back here. And that's so important. And we're seeing that every day. Investing in technology, from ShotSpotter to our new My Cola app, allowing you to communicate with us of concerns and complaints, which we call compliments. And I know some people think I'm crazy when I say that, but if you didn't care, you wouldn't tell us. You would just put it on Reddit and some other place that we may or may not see it, which I don't read those things. So if you're trying to get something fixed, I'd rather you call my cell phone, which is on the website, or get online and shoot us a message. But the reality is that we're making it easier, so not only do you get information right back, but our staff has the ability to track, so people can help you solve those problems, if it's leaks, if it's ditch problems, if it's anything, and then we can make sure we get it to you, the information back to you in a thing. Do we still miss things? Yes, we do, but we're improving communication every day. And we only can do that by getting feedback from everybody. And I think part of this My Cola was all about what people had brought forth to us. You know, our IT department insisting in the Our police department's upgrading evidence platforms, our body cameras, our fleet vehicles, all the technology that we have, the GPS and everything, so that we know where folks are so we can be there. We have to embrace technology. We're still recruiting as hard as we can. We're improving, we're investing in our employees. We've done step-up programs, investing in their salaries, investing in the training. There's a leadership training program that's come up. Mr. Brown and others have been working with the city manager about getting our employees to have an opportunity where they see the value of growth, so that we can make sure that we're building our next set of leaderships. You know, our community parks, the center of our community, investing in those parks. You know, the 10-year master plan that our staff and the community engaged with. I actually was in this park when people are engaging. And I was in another park, 10-year master plan. It was amazing. There was a young girl who was in high school who her goal is to be an architect. She came with her own design to share with the designers and the architects there. Connected with our Todd Martin, who, if you haven't met Todd, he works for our Parks and Recs, helped us get the design for the new Finley Park, and who's been doing all these upgrades that you see. And his vision and his talent is what we want for the future. And the beauty part, he's one of our city employees. He's not an outside employee. He is somebody who works in our Parks and Recs on a day-to-day basis. That's the type of talent that we have in the city that we have to continue to let shine. You know, we just installed the first of 2 Prisma Health outdoor parks. This was an opportunity that we had where we could get some grant money and partner with a local, and we went to the Prisma Health and said, hey, we want you to help us invest in some outdoor. Let's do some things to provide some more exercise opportunities for our citizens. And so we have one going in all 4 districts. The first one is in Greenview Park. The second one will be part of the unveiling of Finley Park. And then we have one going in Maxie Gregg and Heathwood Park. So we have 3 and 4 where you have this. It's really cool to see it and see how people are embracing it, because we have a beautiful environment that we're allowed to be outside so much. Beltline project improvement, where we're going into a heart of a neighborhood who the investment of having a community center and a gym can change lives, along with the innovation center that we did along with our assistant city manager and our parks department. The Belfield Center, which is a former Sarah Nance school in Booker, Washington Heights, they had a flood, and what they had is a small little library. We took that flood money and converted that into an innovation center, where we have open, where people can go in and have a working space to chase if it's their nonprofit or their small business, where we provide them a space where they have meeting rooms, there's technology and Wi-Fi that we're paying for to allow somebody in this neighborhood to chase their dream and have a starting point. It's just one of the little things that we're doing all over to just change people's lives and let them take what I call advantage of the land of opportunity in Columbia. We talked a little bit about our OBO office and the things that they're doing, but the biggest thing they've done this year is get us into the Tom's Mobile Market, trying to address the food deserts that we have. Our partnership with Instacart, providing folks on Medicare and Medicaid the option to get free delivery, to take advantage. Because just building a grocery store doesn't solve the problem, because you got to have the density and the ability to get people in there and turn it over or it'll close. Too many cities have tried that and lost millions of dollars. We've seen the same thing. We had Save-A-Lot not only go through 1 iteration, but 2, and now it stayed empty for 7 years. So we have to be strategic. Part of that is those empty lots in those neighborhoods, putting people back into home ownership opportunities, putting people in those neighborhoods, building back the density so we can bring groceries, more health care, taking advantage of what we can deliver through technology, first and foremost, and then from there, really addressing the problem of challenging our housing crisis. Our commercial and retention redevelopment program, Community development celebrating 50 years, hosting tenant and landlord rights and responsibility workshops, building together housing workshops, really focused on a lot of the nonprofits who have land but not sure how they could utilize that to create home ownership opportunities. Connecting them similar to our program that we're doing in Belmont, where we're putting in folks into home ownership opportunities. And there's a catch because we're putting some investment in there that folks have to stay in there for 10 years. But we're seeing teachers and other folks having an opportunity. We even have folks from our Columbia Housing Authority, they're having the opportunity to go in and be able to get out of public housing and into home ownership for the first time in their lives. And that's what our goal should be, is getting people there and helping them. If we've got land and we have opportunities, we'll do it. Obviously, our Columbia water work, we put so much into that, as you've seen from the canal, investing in all of the technology to make sure that we're reading our meters, the miles and miles, hundreds of miles of line extensions. We have no lead pipes in Columbia anymore. Thankful for the things that we've done. Investing in our water plants, in our wastewater treatment plants, alternative energy projects coming down so we can capture the gas there, offset our costs, do something so that we're not taking the soil amendments that come out of there, the sludge, to the landfill, using it, drying it, pasteurizing it, doing those type of different things through innovation. But the energy part, 2 megawatts worth of power, offsetting our costs. The future hydro plant, reconstituting ourselves, that's 10 megawatts of green power to help us get to our goal. Our HR department and all that they've done to revamp our annual evaluations, creating merit increases and bonuses. One of the things the city manager drove through. Our career fair that we had, never seen so many people come to a career fair because people want to talk to departments one-on-one. Our municipal court system, reducing the caseload. We went from almost 8,100 cases in 2021 down to 3,900 and still improving and reducing those. We're making strides to solve the problems that hindered us. Our public safety, fire, police, violent crime prevention, rapid shelter. I mean, y'all, we're down from shootings 45%. 100% contribute that to our police department, our technology, and to the Office of Crime Prevention, all working together to address the problem where it is. Auto break-ins down 33%. Coincides very much with our shootings because they're not getting the guns that they stole out of people's cars. We've transported close to 1,200 people unsheltered to the overflow facility, cleaned up 33 homeless camps. Code enforcement's done almost 16,000 inspections. They are out there working every day to improve the quality of life, but also make sure that people are taking care of their property, especially those landlords who are renting property so that people are living in clean and safe environment. Our Columbia Fire's done, I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how many safety checks, how many fire smoke alarms that they have installed in the community, how many visits they've done as first responders, and continuing to improve daily, investing in them with hope, getting our new fire station and is kind of a trapped area because of the train situation over in Olympia area that will serve more. Investing in our firehouses, improving quality, that is our focus. Rapid shelter, y'all, this might be one of the greatest things the city invested in. Building 50 pallet homes that allows us to get individuals into a place that's theirs individually, that they can lock the door, that they have a bed. They have the opportunity to take advantage of services all on site. We've been able to transition 67 individuals into permanent housing through that program. Over 212 other people to other programs and help, all right there. And it's less than 2 years old. This was a thought process that came out of our strategic planning. City manager and Kamisha Hepart, our director of homelessness service, they got this up in 90 days, y'all. 90 days, and it proves to the fact long-term we need to make the investment in our service center, in a hope center where we can address people's problems, providing housing. First Step, Houston, Tempe, Arizona, Reno, all these communities, even LA is building these in pods. Why? Because getting people into their own unit is the first step for them to start taking the wraparound services, and the next step for that is getting them permanent housing and jobs. We have an increase of homelessness. It is throughout our community. It is not a downtown problem. It is a citywide problem. We got to get folks to help, and the only way to do that is getting centralized services, because 85% of those needs are around addiction and mental health, and we don't have enough funding to have multiple sites. We've got to focus on how do we get the majority of people the help that they need, because that is part of what we need to do. And I really want to thank everybody for doing that. Our violent crime prevention, over 1,600 community connections already, raised over $600,000 in grant opportunities. You know, I have to really end before I bring my colleagues in this conversation with talking about the telling our story part. We've said since day one we don't tell our story, that people don't know who Columbia really is and all the beautiful natural assets we have, all the incredible people and businesses and opportunities are here. We went through a rebranding, a whole marketing strategy, you know, working to invest and clean up our gateways to provide a cleaner and warmer welcome to our city. It's helping with retail recruitment, our PR opportunities. Our new logo gives that sense of pride, but also allows us to coalesce around a story that each one of our 17 departments and our council, our manager can go out and sell to other people. It's part of telling who we are. With that, I'd really love for Will, if you would, talk a little bit about what's happening in District 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you get all that?
It's going to be a test.
There's a lot going on in Columbia. I told you, a lot of great things. What is circling, the one thing that is circling is the fact that Richland County, Columbia is growing. And it's how do we keep up with that growth? And in some aspects, it's getting back to the baseline to start to keep up with that growth. For example, some of our infrastructure uses, we've come a long way with Columbia Water. The Columbia Water team is here tonight. You have a council that is committed to keeping up with the infrastructure, new water lines, new stormwater, new wastewater. There's a lot of lines out there. I see we have our customer care team back there. We are constantly trying to get better at your interface when you do business with the city. And I can't thank the Columbia Water team, Tiffany and her team, enough for the strides we've made in the past 5 years. But at the end of the day, and I see District 3 leaders in here, it's your interactions with the services we provide you, right? CPD does so much with what we give them. We want to give them more. We're going to strive to give them more. Mickey and the fire department team, we got a lot of work to do for giving our fire professionals better facilities, and we're going to work on that in the future. And then roads. Sometimes water bubbles up through roads, and we need to keep up with that. And so I get the emails all the time from you. That's my favorite part about being an elected official, being a water commissioner, is knowing, connecting those budgetary dots to keep up with the infrastructure. So you have that commitment from this council moving forward. You know, we've got some big projects in Shandon coming up. Rosewood is in process for drinking water lines, stormwater. So it's just that continued commitment towards providing the basic services in a grand way to the citizens of Columbia. I think that's the highlight of District 3.
Mr. Brown?
So just to continue on this theme, to me, it's all about quality of life. I think we're in a quality of life time in Columbia. Quality of life encompasses so many things, from public safety to economic development to parks and recreations to all the things that Will and the mayor have already talked about. And that's what this council is doing. The collaboration within our community is amazing. It's the connecting of the dots. It's developing Columbia going forward in the right way. It's getting what the community cares about. We're getting it right. And I couldn't be prouder of the work we've done. When I ran for office, I kind of coined the term that, we can improve our quality of life without destroying our quality of life. And too many times in Columbia and the Midlands, we've centered around picking winners and losers versus bringing everybody up. This is a very special time in Columbia with everybody working together, everybody trying to move Columbia, Richland County, and the Midlands forward all at the same time. I'm proud of what we're doing. I'm proud of District 4. We got a very diverse District 4. I'm always here when somebody's got a problem, got a concern. Your voice is very important to me, to the mayor, to the rest of the council. We're here to help you. We're here to listen. And we're here to do what's best for Columbia. So I think we're in a special time. I think you're going to be really proud of what our community looks like in the next 5 to 10 years. And I think you'll appreciate that it's going to be strategic and purposeful and not random and all over the place. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your voices and thank you for your time. And I couldn't be happier to represent District 4.
Mr. Bailey?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was elected a year and 4 days ago. So it's been good being on council and the work that's been done under your leadership and work with Councilman Brown and Brennan in District 3 and 4. And I would say what I'm most proud of about being on council so far, I was just telling Councilman Brown this, that we really do work well to put the people of Columbia first. That's one thing, regardless of where we fall politically, regardless if we're on different sides of votes from time to time, we always want to make sure we're putting the people of Columbia first. I'm also proud of shootings being down 45%. I mean, I feel like people feel safer when I'm walking around compared to 3 years ago. I feel like people do feel safer, and the numbers show that data. And so I think that's good for the people of Columbia. All the exciting growth that we have from Vista, the road improvements on Assembly Street, the William Street extension, all the growth that we have in Bull Street, the penny just passing, so we're gonna have more resources to improve our roads and do big infrastructure projects, whether it's updating the canal or anything else in between. So it's a really exciting time for Columbia, and I think that like I think Councilman Brown and Brennan mentioned, and yourself, the next 4 years are going to be, I think, great for Columbia. Things are only getting better, and hopefully they keep trending that way.
Thank you. Y'all, we could sit here for 3 hours talking about Columbia. It's the most exciting time I've ever seen. I have the opportunity to wake up every morning and work with incredible folks every day, and it's exciting. And we see it, and moving around our community and hearing feedback from folks, working with a council that has nothing other in their agenda than to improve the quality of life of everybody across, a staff that's innovative, that wants to be part of that, who have the same goals, which is delivering the best customer service, being innovative, not afraid to try things. That's what's making the difference, and we're doing it together. But it's all of us doing together. We constantly are saying all the time, this is the We Tour. We're on the We Tour because it's our citizens, it's our business community, it's our staffs, it's the elected officials all working together because it is our time as the Midlands to shine. And I truly believe that. With that, we're going to open it to questions. Nothing's off the table, but if we don't have the answer, we might have to get back to you.
Perfect. First is Mr. Parker. Do you have a question?
Jerry Parker with Galaxy District 4. I'd like to thank Councilman Rickenmann, which you turned into our wonderful mayor, Mr. Peter Brown, and our Councilman
Bailey.
Bailey, and your wonderful team working with us. And also I have my friend Harris Greenlawn, president of CCN. If anybody don't know anything about CCN, please stop and we'll give you some information.
Sign up today if you're not a member.
Thank you.
Mr. Utsi, I'm coming.
I have several things. I guess this is working.
That's good.
Okay.
Sort of.
Can you give some more detail and timeline for the renovation of Finley Park?
Sure. First of all, by this time next year, you'll be able to enjoy the park. It is moving on time. It is, it was really designed through the Parks and Recs, and I think you're going to be very surprised when you see it. The new amphitheater that is being built there is going to allow us really to have a lot more of events, range of events from Shakespeare in the Park to concerts, all shapes and sizes, venue-wise, but because our staff talk to people in the industry, what do we need to have so that we can make sure we utilize this park? I think the difference you're going to see in this park is the investment in having staff there all the time. So where it used to be a restaurant, you're going to have rangers and staff folks. So there's going to be ownership. It was one of the things that we were lacking in the past. Well, two things I should say is we're building a park and understand what the maintenance cost is. So we're prepared for that, thinking strategically ahead. But activating, if you look at our parks where we're activated, or even the riverfront where we have our wonderful park rangers and folks maintaining, there's ownership there. And I think that's the difference you're going to see in Finley Park. And I'm hoping this time next year you're standing there. I know that the contract technically says December, but we're pushing pretty hard on them to get it done earlier because we want people to really enjoy it next fall.
Another thing, wanted to commend your plan about having, I believe, private contractors do water line repair, and also potholes. Is that still going on?
Yes, sir. We're expanding that all the time. We were just talking the other day with Mr. Shealy, our assistant city manager, head of utilities, about how do we continue to get more of those folks, but even talking to businesses locally saying, is there a way that we can change your model a little bit so that you can participate with us to help address these needs? What we've recognized as a city, what we do really well, we need to focus on the things where we struggle. Let's find somebody who can do it locally, and let's embrace them, because we're going to be doing this for as long as we're a city. So let's create some relationships and opportunities, and I think our staff has done a wonderful job of making that happen.
Saw a real improvement in response time when you initiated this. This was very good. Is there any plans to strengthening code enforcement? One of the problems we've got in our neighborhood association is abandoned houses. The codes enforcement folks are handicapped. They cannot look at a property in the front and the back. They have to rely on neighbors calling in. We've got properties right now that are uninhabited, and they're doing just enough to stay within the ordinances. And meanwhile, it's a blight on our neighborhood. Is there anything that we can do or you can do to strengthen codes enforcement?
Anybody want to jump on that one? I think that's one of the issues that we keep running across. Not only the legal time it takes a lot of times with abandoned houses, but also the fact that people know exactly how far they wait. We just drove by a house the other day that neighbors called about. Literally the day before the time lapsed out, they went and they put the siding on and they put the windows in enough to allow them to have the extension. So it's something we need to spend more time in. I wish I had a great answer for you, but it's starting to creep up more and more. Part of our issue of getting investment in those empty lots as well. You know, abandoned houses and empty lots create an issue for all neighbors. And I think that's one of the things we've got to look at. How do we strengthen that? And I'm not sure it's so much we need more personnel. I think we got to figure out legally, do we need our state legislators' help? Or how do we change the system to address those issues in a timely manner? And that gets tough too, because you got property rights. So you got this fine balance, but we're looking into more, and we'll spend more time this legislative session looking at how we can have more opportunities with that.
I still think it's important, though. I think it's important that we still hear from the community about these houses, and so even though sometimes it feels like you're beating your head against the wall, at least you're beating your head against the wall with us, okay, and not by yourself. So don't be afraid to share this and let us know about it. And I do think we all make a difference, even though sometimes it feels like it's slow. So, but also I think the mayor's right with some of the future in our ability to take a lot of these in empty lots and rundown houses, and as we develop the community with more houses and more people and more good things going on, I think we'll make a difference, and you'll see a lot of these places go away. So just don't get too frustrated on your own. If you're going to be frustrated with all of us, and I'll be frustrated with you, I promise. And we'll try to figure out how to make a difference.
Picking up what Councilman Brown said, I think it is important to let us know about those things. There are things that neighborhood associations can do against, I would say negligent or people who are just ignoring their rights or their responsibility as good neighbors. So there are things that could be done. And then we are also looking for ways always to make things better quality life-wise for residents. We had a work session last week, and we were talking about individuals who own short-term rentals who have yet to pay their license fee to have these properties on the market, and we were talking about possibly increasing fines. I think that's an example how council looks at issues when they're brought to our attention to figure out how we could address them. So similarly with vacant properties, sometimes they increase crime. Blight increases crime. It can have people who are trespassing. Those are things that we can look at and then take steps from there. And there are also, like I said, if you want to reach out to any of us, we could talk about how the neighborhood could actually do things as well against them if y'all are registered as a 501c3. And I'm not giving legal advice up here, just tell you that.
Disclaimer.
Earl, I know you and Nancy have a list going on, so you just send it our way and let us take a look at it.
I was curious about the breadth of the interest in the community at large, but you didn't mention anything about the university community, and you didn't mention anything about Fort Jackson. What's the status of the city's relationship with Fort Jackson? What kind of communications back and forth? What part do they play or can play? And the same with the university. We don't want a town and gown kind of controversy, and I think there is a good relationship there, but what do you need to do to work on that?
I think I mentioned early on about how happy we are with Dr. Amaritas in our relationship. We spend more time at these universities and colleges than we ever had, because folks have spent so much time in Columbia. To them is more their home than just a job at the university. We are involved with their strategic planning that they're doing, involving us and our staff in that conversation. Anything that's going on, we're part of that conversation at the university, which is great. We meet monthly with several of the administrators, talking about issues with them, not everything from parking, but also the student population. Their advocacy councils are meeting with us, sharing with us, their concerns about the cost of rent, that, we're pricing some students out. The challenge that they want us to help the university with dealing with parking, part of their 10-year plan that they've laid out, this new master plan, is addressing the future growth in parking and how that needs to be part of it. making sure that the shuttles and the Comet, all of that is working. So there's a lot of discussion, you know, a lot of the buildings that they bought here lately and in the past, how they're going to convert that into housing options, not for students, but for professors and employees at the university, so they can have a workforce opportunity there. They've got 6 houses in the university neighborhood that they're going to convert back into families living there that they've used for office space or for other nonprofits that they had, and now that's going to go back to bringing those professors. Fort Jackson, you know, my generals keep leaving. I get a great relationship. You know, we had General Michaelis here. Pat was unbelievable, very engaging, spent a lot of time on post with him and their staff. You know, now we had Jason Kelly, who just left and took a higher post, went back to the Pentagon. But what's great about it is he said, Daniel, I'm not saying goodbye because my wife and I are coming back here to retire. Our relationship with Fort Jackson is better than it's ever been. And part of it's because of our community. It's what Susan McPherson and the Chamber, all these organizations that you saw today at the Veterans Parade, embracing. 7 out of 10 families that are retiring at Fort Jackson are staying here in our community. It's part of our future workforce. The garrison commander retiring, going to stay here. The chief of staff retiring, staying here. Their families love this community. So working closer with them on how we help people transition into the community, but it also is an economic engine for us. It's $6.7 billion annually. But working with Daryl Hood is our new General Hood, probably one of the smartest people I've ever met, is the new general, picking up where Michaelis and Kelly left off, embracing our community. We're having breakfast on Thursday, part of our overall chamber, getting him more involved in the community. But he's like, we need to work together and go after DOD grants to improve the entranceways, create more opportunities for living on and off post, embracing their graduation program more as well too. So 45,000 recruits come through there annually. That equates to 250,000 family members that are staying here. And guess where the majority of those folks are staying? They're staying in Airbnbs because their average stay is 3.5 days in Columbia, which is a big economic boost as well. But improving the relationship, talking about programs I never even heard about where they can get money from DOD to work with our ballet and our museum and create opportunities for those military families to come and have a special performance that's paid for by DOD, working with their Boy Scouts and Girl Scout troops to integrate them in the community. I mean, these are all the dialogues that are happening now. And I failed to mention it, and I'll have to make sure I add it in, but they've become such partners. So when we talk about collaboration here, it's not just the other cities that we're working with and the other mayors and the counties. It really is our big influence, but it's McIntyre in the same way. Our relationship with McIntyre and working with them and our National Guard, you know, some people don't even realize some of the things that are happening out there. Today we had the South Carolina Challenge Academy marching in the program. We got to go spend time with those young. And these are some of the most challenged kids across South Carolina who are out there training, all with an opportunity to have a better life. You know, our airmen out there are part of the Presidential Protection Team in Washington. When Air Force One goes out, units from our base over here are flying with and protecting it. I mean, we're integrated very much as a military city and community and embracing. So we're doing a lot there. We need to talk about it more. A lot of it's internal, but what you'll see from these families, they love Columbia because everybody here has embraced them. Richland 1 and Richland 2 are working with them on programs because a lot of these kids have been moved around so much. Having them have the ability to choose the school that fits them is very important. Embracing those type of things to strengthen that relationship. And you got to thank the legislature. If the governor and the legislature I mean, they're helping it much easier by taking away taxation on military retirement. That's getting people to stay here and make more investment. That's a well-trained workforce. So as you talk about Scout and everything that blows off of that, the businesses that come off of that are tech companies. I mean, there's some incredibly talented people over there that are going to have major leadership roles here. So yeah, I think we have, there isn't a university president or a general or a staff garrison commander that we're not constantly in contact with. And it's part of, I think, what's driving people to stay here.
It's really, I mean, it is a collaboration unlike anything that's ever been in Columbia. And I think part of it is that there's just kind of this awareness that we're all in this together, and that the universities can work with the city can work with the universities. They've got issues. We want to keep the graduates here. We want talent retention. We want to develop workforce. We want to develop jobs. We want to bring companies here. So we've got a vested interest in each other. Same thing with Fort Jackson. So I think you just have a really good working relationship across all lines. I think the mayor's right. We don't necessarily do a great job of talking about all the things going on all the time. We're trying to get better at that. We use the term all the time. We got to tell our story. So I think we're getting better at telling our story. But hopefully you'll just start feeling the story. We won't have to tell you about it. You'll just feel it kind of like a vibe that's in your blood and in your body. That you can feel 24 hours a day. So there is a lot going on in all these relationships.
And I have to add, I'm sorry, I wanted to add that, Mr. Brennan helped us build up and get the Town and Gown started. So getting the Town and Gown, all 6 colleges and universities having representation, neighborhood leaders having representation, business community having representation, building subcommittees off of that. Clemson University has a leadership program that's Town and Gown. We've adopted that national, international Town and Gown. Building up so that when we're talking about planning and everything else, that the community's involved, including the students, who are a big part of our economic development. And we got to quit forgetting about them. There a lot of times you only hear the complaints about those students, but the reality is they're a major part of our economic engine here. It's what's kept us between state government, Fort Jackson, and our students has kept us recession-proof. The only thing that killed us was COVID. If you look back, we've been able to survive, and that's an attraction to people. So we need to keep embracing it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying that's a strong vibe that Councilman Brown said. He wants you to feel it 24 hours in your body. That's pretty tough.
It's coming.
I don't know about that
it's
part.
Coming.
But 24 hours in your body. But good things are coming, but I want you to get some sleep at night still.
That's everyone that indicated interest beforehand. Does anyone have any questions before we close out?
You haven't said too much tonight about public transportation, and especially if we're going to grow at the numbers you mentioned, 15 to 20,000 people, we can't have 15 to 20,000 more cars on the roads, or we're going to be sitting in traffic. So can you talk a little bit about how public transportation and walkability and that sort of thing plays into the planning?
Absolutely. We have a bike walkability plan, and we're able to address it. And to be quite honest, the penny sales tax, that's why I was a proponent for it. And I'll be the first one to tell you that I was against it the first time. I didn't like the way it was set up. I didn't like where it was headed. But when it got back, after DOR kind of put the guidelines around it, and it got back to the thing, we know it can work. It is the only way that we're going to change to give us that walkability, the transportation investment. If you look at it, not only is there the road plans in there, but it's the greenway connectivity, it's the bike lanes. I just was in Nashville, and I looked at what they had done, and they've done it very simply. Sometimes we overthink these things, and the reality is they've done it where you can have the walk bike path connect you all over, especially in these like 12 South and these different neighborhoods, and they've done it with simple concrete and other things to make it safe both for the bike riders and others. So implementing that plan, utilizing those resources to do that, and then we know that our public transportation now can truly plan. Mr. Brennan's on that board, and what they're doing for an intermodal site. looking at how we have alternative transportation, how that affects how we're able to move more people, more transportation. I hope ultimately, to be truthful, I would love to see us not even charge for it. I think having a free system like they have in Pickens.
Same, 100%.
In Pickens County, where people could hop on and off. We know the frequency's there. I'd love to hop on it and scoot around and not have to get in a car. And I think a lot of people are also in our investment downtown. It's not just that, but the investment of housing downtown.
100%. Thank you for saying that, because it's so important that we look at this thing kind of in not so much in a black and white environment, but in a gray environment. We've got to fill in from the inside out in Columbia to move out. We've got too many parking lots, too many empty lots. We got too many or too little multifamily and too little of all the things that successful communities have invested in. And we're there, and we've always chicken and egged ourselves, and right now the real chicken is we got to invest in ourselves, and we gotta get people to come here to invest in us. So it's super important that we don't just look at this like it's one house and one car at a time. It's really just changing a little bit of the way we've always thought about how we do business in Columbia and how we get around. But you can't have a walking community if there's nothing to walk to, and you got to have. We've got to fill in. This middle market study that the city has invested in is going to make a huge difference in Columbia, and I think you're going to see it's really on the verge of just exploding throughout the vista in a lot of areas in Columbia that have been forgotten in town. And one of those areas we've invested in my company at Millwood and Gervais. It's an area that's looked the same, if not worse, for the last 50 years. And these are the areas that we've got to invest in and got to get the neighborhoods and the people on board, that they're willing to look at change in a positive way, not something that's going to negatively affect them. We've got to look at how we grow, how we do it together, and how we do it in a meaningful fashion to make Columbia a special place, we'll say more special place. And that vibe, that vibe will be there.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's really important that all this kind of just fits together.
And I think the housing is a big part of it. I mean, our young folks, our young professionals want to live in an area. I mean, if you go to Charlotte and you have an opportunity to look at the South Boulevard area, Lowe's moved their entire back office tower into the middle of that neighborhood. Why? Because that's where all the people were living that want to walk to work. Folks that are retiring are asking us for more opportunities to live downtown because they want to walk to Publix or they want to walk to the Koger Center. They don't want to have to get in their car. But when you got a mile in diameter of empty parking lots, that's the challenge. We got to change that and get that and embrace height. We had this fear
Amen.
of vertical
I know.
in Columbia for some
Vertically
reason.
challenged.
And I think we can change that. And this is where we have opportunities with our consolidation. With the properties that we're consolidating are opening up some really key corners where these investments can happen. And that's why our manager put out this RFP to bring the right partners here so we can do it, because it's not just about the building, it's about the quality of the building that gets built, but it's about the maintenance, it's about the quality and how people take care of that, but the opportunities, because we need workforce housing as much as we need high-end housing.
And my quality of life has been affected because 3 of my 4 daughters have already moved out of Columbia to other places, looking for other opportunities. So my vibe and my quality of life have been negatively affected. And
Harsh in your vibe, man.
And I know, no, it empowers, and I think it empowers me, I think, and us to look at how we can change those things and how we can make a difference and how we can bring our young people back and how we can have this opportunity for more and more people to come back here, be successful, raise a family, start a business, and do all those things that so far people go elsewhere for. But we want to bring those people here, bring them back, but also attract other people from other areas to do the exact same.
And you have the chairman of the comment here, Councilman Brennan.
I knew you were
He
gonna
can probably
bring that
give you a
up.
lot on that. We're excited about the
So
future.
we talk about ridership is down. I mean, it's just in general across the nation, public transportation. So you're going to see a mind towards building that ridership, whether it's workforce, if it's family, and students ride free now, but really growing that program, centralizing the main routes, the connectivity from Lower Richland to Northeast Columbia and Richland County is a priority. So thank goodness the penny passed. So we'll see all that. That's all in the mindset of the comment board and the administration there.
And the electric fleet is coming soon.
It's, well, that's with some watershed fed money help. So
We're going to try to get soon, one day. Is that better?
Yeah,
coming one day.
Well, we got to have a balance because remember, we're in a hurricane state, so we need to make sure that
Right.
our first responders can get to our constituents, but where we can, we will. And I think the investments in renewable energy and the other things that we want to see as a council, because we want to get to platinum LEED. We want to be the first city in the Southeast to be platinum.
Absolutely.
Amen.
One last question, and then we have a lot of staff members here that can answer any follow-up questions afterwards if we're not able to get to you. Does anyone have a final question? I know Mr. Utsi has one, and I told him I'd come back.
Hey, just real quick, how did everything go with Owens Field? Is there an update on the Owens Field project?
I was out there this weekend watching
Looks amazing, doesn't it?
first grader play flag football. I think everybody likes it. The grass was lush. I think we went above and beyond for that renovation. I got to thank council so much. That was a long time in the making, but just generally the approach to maintenance. Again, we were very maintenance and future maintenance minded, and I think that's an asset that's going to stay at that high level. So we're not through the complete master plan of Owens Field. I think we're getting the restrooms installed in the next 30 days. So lots more to come, not just at Owens Field, but our entire Parks and Rec system.
I had 13 youth soccer teams send me thank you
Yeah.
notes
Oh, man.
that they didn't have to stumble on rocks and how beautiful it was, and thank you for the investment. So I think we're headed in the right path.
And that's a thank you to staff for getting creative on how to find that funding for that much needed project.
I do want to take a moment to really give all of our staff a hand. Y'all, we've had several people come to our community to talk to us about different things, and when they leave, the feedback I get is that we're very fortunate to have the quality of staff that we have, the innovative thinking and exciting and wanting to embrace change, and I think that's a testimony to the leadership. I think it's very much a testimony. So at this time, I'd love to make sure that we give a hand to our city manager and all our staff. Because I think you'll hear the common theme from everybody as we say goodbye tonight is that we want Columbia to be the #1 city in South Carolina, not by population, but by quality of life.
Amen.
And Ms. Merrick, I had something.
Yeah.
We recently rolled out the My Cola app, but I think our staff is so good that I direct people directly to staff. Don't even go to the app. Go to staff because it's so good. I mean, really, Tiffany Latmore, I always send her emails. She's with Columbia Water, and she's so responsive in addressing constituents' issues with water. I mean, our whole staff is top notch. I don't want to discount them by having people go to an app. But the app is great too, but if you want to really see what the heart and soul of Columbia is, reach out and call them, and they'll be happy to help you. I mean, me and Mr. Simons were on Main Street today, and there was somebody who was going to park. Mr. Simons reached in his own pocket to pay for their parking on Veterans Day. I mean, that's the type of staff that we have here, and it's a privilege to work with them.
Well, thank y'all for being here.